What's up guys, I'm ImSidVicious, and today I want to go over my Ice Spear Totems in the Legacy of Phrecia event this league. This event gives us access to new and reworked ascendancies, and instead of running the standard Hierophant version, we are going to be using the Polytheist. Now, I want to set expectations right away. This version is slightly weaker in terms of raw damage than the normal league version of Ice Spear, but in exchange we gain a huge amount of quality of life, and that makes this build feel way better for mapping and also the event. We're going to be Giga Blasting with mapping strategies using the new idol system, and our bossing damage will still be able to do carry service, so this build is still strong. I've got the PoB ready, I got the game footage ready, and I'll show you exactly what changed, what we gained, and what to expect if you play this in the event. So first, let's talk about what the build actually is. This is an Ice Spear totem build using Freezing Pulse, early for clear. Later we transition for Ice Spear splitting for our clear once we have enough damage. So we do have to do a little bit of gem swapping between Ice Spear and Freezing Pulse, but once we get enough damage, you can pretty much perma-camp Freezing Pulse or Ice Spear splitting. Ice Spear splitting is a very strong clear skill, and once it's online, once you have enough damage, once you get your hands on one of these Ice Spear splitting gems, you basically cover the entire screen in projectiles and you could like zoom through the map. Traditionally, Ice Spear totems are more focused on the bossing element, but with the new ascendancies in this event, this version actually feels much better for mapping than usual. So let's talk about the Polytheist Ascendancy and what has been buffed compared to the last time Phrecia was around. The changes give us a very different power profile compared to Hierophant. Instead of stacking raw multipliers, we get more projectiles, free minimum charges, we get some curse and ailment immunity, and a lot less friction for mapping. So let's break that down. Let's talk about what we lost first. So compared to the Hierophant, we lose one totem. We lose some traditional totem utility like Arcane Surge on hits. Also, our theoretical PoB DPS ceiling is a little bit lower. That part is real and I want to be clear about that, but here's what we gain in return. We get minimum endurance, frenzy, and power charges for free. This is really strong because in the normal version, if we wanted frenzy charges, we would try to get a focused amulet or a very good amulet, and even then we could only get 2 minimum frenzy charges with the focus amulet. Here we have them straight into our ascendancy, so that's really nice. You can get a different mod instead. But getting frenzy charges also just gives us free damage, free cast speed, which is really nice. On top of that, we also get spell skills fire 2 additional projectiles. This is going to be massive for clear speed and coverage. Of course, it also adds to our bossing DPS, but primarily getting more projectiles is just going to make us clear maps much faster. Your screen is going to be absolutely flooded with projectiles and it's going to feel very satisfying. Now let's talk about some of the quality of life changes that the Ascendancy is also providing, because this is where the Polytheist is going to really shine during mapping. Now, Devotion of Ralakesh, this gives us our minimum charges, but this also gives us Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you, which is very big for our build, because normally we would have to corrupt a jewel, which is kind of awkward and expensive for this build since our jewel slots are very valuable, or we would have to like corrupt a unique jewel, which is very hard because most of our jewels already come corrupted. So this one's just a freebie for our defensive layer. On top of that, we can also be curse immune or unaffected by curses with the Devotion of Yugal. This is strong because we have to deal with a whole bunch of curse management issues since we use Soul Mantle. So this thing just straight up solves our problem, and we don't have to invest into something expensive like a Sublime Vision. Also, we can curse hexproof enemies. So primarily what I like to do with this build is invitation farming, and one of the mods that frequently appear on the invitations themselves are hexproof. So now our invitation fights are going to be much easier. Also, it helps out for mapping and doing like T17 mods as well, or T17 maps as well. The other one is Devotion of Garu Khan. Now, this is really nice because it gives us immunity to Burning Ground, Shock Ground, and Chill Ground. On top of that, it's also going to have a new buff that says unaffected by shock. This is a massive mapping QOL because normally we're locked into specific pantheons like Aberrath just to survive doing some of the Burning Ground maps, which are very annoying. So now this opens up a new pantheon, something that we can use for perhaps like chaos damage, etc. We will still have to use the Brine King for our major pantheon, but now we have some more options for our minor pantheons. This just makes our build like tankier, it makes mapping less annoying, and it makes it more flexible for our map mods. We can pretty much run every single map mod. The only annoying one is Reflect. Now, even though we ourselves get Reflect immunity, I'm pretty sure last time in Phrecia event, the Totems did not get the Reflect immunity, so the Totems still have one issue, which is Reflect. So everything else we can do, and to be honest, you could also do Reflect maps. They are just very, very annoying to do on the build, and I would only recommend doing them if you need like completions or something and you like corrupted a map during league start. So let's talk about the damage trade-off and how to fix it. Because yes, losing a totem is noticeable, but we could definitely get that back with the Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh, which will give us an extra totem. Adding this will require a little bit of investment, but since our build is sort of off meta, I assume this will be very cheap. And if you don't want to use this setup, you can just go for strong rare jewels and you'll have comparable damage also. So you don't need to do this, but it's an option if you want to push the build a little bit harder. Personally, I think the QOL is worth the trade-off from the Ascendancy, and you don't really have to worry about these Forbidden Flame and Flesh jewels. Now let's talk about some core mechanics and how the build scales. It plays exactly the same as the normal Ice Spear totems, so if you played my build in the previous leagues, it's going to play pretty much the same way. You know, you have your multiple totems, which are damage multipliers. You have self-cursing with Soul Mantle and scaling the curses with self-flagellation. We have projectile scaling from Ice Spear, and with the new Ascendancy giving you extra projectiles, Ice Spear is going to be doing a lot of damage, and once you get Rain of Splinters, Awaken GMP, it's just going to feel very strong. Especially for mapping when you have Ice Spear splitting and the projectiles are just going everywhere and you have more and more of them. Also, to give you an idea what this build is capable of doing, I was able to clear the entire Atlas in 30 hours. That's the 132 out of 132, even the annoying Originator questline, which took about 4 hours within that time frame. And I didn't have any like Omega Juice gears. You know, I pretty much only had a 6-link for the Feared, and for the 2-stone run I only used a 4-link with some rare wands or scepter, I can't remember. And you could always check my full VOD of my league start on my YouTube channel under the live section, see how the build progresses as I played it throughout the week. I pretty much have all of the progress from league start level 1 all the way up until I had to leave for my trip, so it was about like 1 week in Keepers of the Flame. and you can see all the progress, how much I scaled, how quickly I scaled. And you can also follow my build update videos, and you could expect build update videos from me in the Legacy of Phrecia. Overall, this build does not need any expensive gear to function. It's an excellent league starter and event starter. And you could also just do the hit level 90 and dip, you know, collect your MTX, be on your way. The PoB I have set up with everything you would need, and if you want to follow something easy, this is going to be your go-to. And if you keep pushing the build, you absolutely can. I have everything from level 1 all the way up to the end game 100 million DPS investment laid out for you to progress in. So let's talk about PoB and leveling and links. We are gonna level throughout the campaign with Holy Flame Totems, and during the early maps, that's when we're gonna switch to Ice Spear, etc. And if you check out the PoB, I'm gonna have everything there, from early maps to mid-game progression to end-game progression. I'm also going to provide you a PoB for the spell block variant, and this is what I use for T17s, and this is what I use to do all my 40/40 challenges. I also did a SSF test run on stream. I have one with a full commentary, which you can check it out. And then I also did a dry run a couple of days ago. You can check out either so that you can get familiar with the campaign run. I'm not the fastest campaign runner. I think it took me about 6 hours and 15 minutes roughly to finish them. Now those will be linked below. I will also be working on a loot filter so it's updated, and this will make a massive difference for your progression. It's just going to help you out on getting from level 1 all the way to the end of maps and even after maps, etc. What's up guys, I just wanted to add a little bit extra to the PoB while I was recording. I didn't kind of fully go over the full PoB. So we have a notes section that kind of goes over everything that you need to do: campaign guide, early progression, sort of your buy order, what affixes to look for, etc, etc. I also have like linking techniques and whatnot. And then when it comes to your tree, since PoB is not fully updated for Phrecia, we have to use these alternate trees, and in order to use them, you actually have to go over here, and you could go to Act 1 and you can see what you need to get Act 1, Act 5, so on and so on. Early mapping, mid-game progression, end-game progression. Unfortunately, the loadouts does not work when you do this, even though if you label them the same. So you have to also go over here and set your set to the correct one that you're using. So let's say you're doing early mapping. Make sure everything is set to early mapping, your items, your tree, even your skills. Kind of, I have them all labeled so you can see what skills to do, etc, etc, your curse setup, whatnot, including your configuration. This is kind of helpful as well to get like the proper damage. And that's just something we have to deal with until the PoB is updated. So if you need, if you want to know exactly why some of the numbers are a little wonky, etc. The other thing I wanted to showcase was that I do have a tank version of this build, which is gonna be more focused on like getting to 91% block and spell block, right? 91% block and 90% spell block. This gives our EHP super high. Pretty much as long as we're blocking, we're immortal. As soon as it goes through our block, we take a little bit of damage. We have to scale like EHP a little bit, and we have like various ways we could do that, but this is something that I might explore and will be in like a further build update and whatnot. The other thing is I have the spell block version. I didn't go over this too much, but this is similar function to the Svalin version, but instead you only have 78% spell block. Now this is pretty much enough to get you doing like T17s, like certain bosses, etc. Because most of the time I usually dodge most of the mechanics, and if sometimes I fail to dodge them, I have like a 78% chance to block, and this allows me to kind of do T17s, bosses, feared, as you could see in the video. You can also take a look at my VOD. So I have a VOD of myself. I'll try to link it below as well. But I have a VOD of me doing a 40-40 challenge on stream. So at the beginning of this, I start around 13 out of 40 challenges, and by the end, we finish our 40-40 challenge somewhere. And this includes like doing a bunch of Ubers, doing a bunch of like T17s, bosses. This is a pretty good resource to take a look at as well. And yeah, I think that's it. Back to the video. What's up guys? So I also wanted to kind of show you a TLDR of how to play the build. I just realized that I didn't kind of talk about exactly the skills and how they work, etc. So I'm just going to give you a quick TLDR. So we have a cold snap setup, and basically cold snap, you cast it and it chills. It puts a lot of chill effect on the enemy. Use this only for bossing, and you don't really do this for mapping at all. And then after that, it's just we have a curse setup, and the curse is utilized with Arcanus brand. So what this does is these brands, they like attach and apply all of these different curses. So we have 4 curses in total, and we are utilizing Empower support here. Next we have like cast on damage taken. This is just like utility. We have Flame Dash, and then we have Arcane Cloak. I use Arcane Cloak whenever I need a little bit of extra defense. It's just nice quality of life. Just gotta be careful sometimes because it does take away from your mana, so be ready to utilize your mana flask, because you do have Mind Over Matter, so it kind of adds to your defense. But in terms of like how the build plays, you kind of just place your totems and let them take care of everything, and then you kind of like dash ahead. So to just give like an example, you just put in your totems and you like just dash ahead, and it's just gonna keep like shooting. And this is like your mapping experience, etc. The other thing is, if you are boss fighting, like if you're doing like Ubers or something like a really difficult, that's when you want to like do a gem swap. So I usually swap Ice Spear and Ice Spear Splitting. Ice Spear you swap in, and let's say this is the boss, you'll put your brands on them. As you can see, it puts all the curses on the enemy, and then you drop the cold snap. I think I'll probably kill it if I drop it. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot I don't do any damage. Oh, okay. My graft proc. But as you can see, it puts the chill effect on the enemy. And yeah, after you put like the curse setup. Okay, they got exploded too. Oh, my graft procced again. You just kind of lay out your totems and then it'll take care of it. So why should you play this build in this event? This build's going to be off meta. It's going to be super cheap, and it's going to be comfortable to play, right? So it is a totem build, and it starts off a little bit weaker on the defense side, but it's going to scale, and it's going to be perfect for farming things like Indigon, invitations, and doing any sort of boss carry service. Indigo in this league is going to be extremely expensive, right? Everybody's going to want their hands on that. And when I did my build update video in Phrecia last year, I had dropped the Indigon and I sold it for 35 divs or something like that. And I expect it to go even more up as more and more people are going to want to play that build. Again, this build is if you want to play the totem style, you want to play something sort of off meta, and it's going to be a very smooth mapper, and it's going to be doing a lot of damage for cheap, and that's why I would recommend this build. It makes it worth playing. All the items that we get are very, very cheap. Of course, if you are sort of blasting through day 1, day 2, you know, Annihilating Light is not going to be there on the market, and if it does show up, it's going to be expensive. Soul Mantle is a couple chaos, right? And that's pretty much the 2 main items you need. And Anathemas is going to be like anywhere from like 20 to half a div during league start. And these are the 3 main items you need to do 132 out of 132, and that's what I showcase in my VOD, etc. So let me know what you guys think. The POBs will be in the description. If you have any questions, drop them below. Comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching. I will see you in the event, and peace.